We get so caught up in the busyness
Mhm.
of life that we don't always focus on the things that really are the most important to us. It's just made me really passionate about getting people to understand that not only is self-care not selfish, but it's essential. We want to
Mhm.
continue to care for those people that we're caring for now, and if we want to be able to live our best lives.
Welcome to Sheila's Take, your go-to podcast for thoughtful insights on love, faith, health, fitness, relationships, and navigating today's challenges through a spiritual perspective. Join me, Sheila Dunbar, as we explore various aspects of life with a mindful and godly approach. Tune in for engaging discussions on all things meaningful and transformative. Welcome back to Sheila's Take, and today I am thrilled to welcome Jenny Lidle. Jenny is a nurse with over 3 decades of experience who has transformed her understanding of caregiving into a powerful, powerful mission. She has specialized in hospice and end-of-life care, walking alongside countless patients and families during their most vulnerable moments. However, it was the unexpected loss of her mother, who is also a nurse, that led her to her most profound insight that caregivers cannot sustainably care for others while neglecting themselves. This personal awakening inspired Jenny to create the Becoming Method, which is a practical framework helping busy professionals manage stress and develop personalized self care practices. She also has a book, Self Care Isn't Selfish: The Compassionate Nurse's Step by Step Guide to Stress Relief. And that has become an essential resource for healthcare workers nationwide. So today, Jenny will share her wisdom about why prioritizing our well being isn't just permissible, it's necessary for sustainable compassion. Please join me in welcoming Jenny Lytle to the show. Welcome, Jenny. How are you?
I'm doing great, Sheila. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Well, I'm so happy to have you. I am such a big advocate. I'm going to tell you on self-care. So I want to jump into a lot of this because this is like right up my alley, as I like to say. I love self-care, and I think that's very important. So, can you do me a favor and just share what your experience in hospice care taught you about the importance of self care that other healthcare settings might not have revealed?
Absolutely. Well, that's a great starter question. So,
I
uh,
try, I try.
yeah, I like that. So, I think that one of the main things that it's taught me is that none of us know how long we've got,
Yeah.
and we've got to figure out ways to take care of ourselves
Hmm.
and to prioritize our own needs because I have had so many patients who have said, "Hey, everything was fine. I was healthy. And then I started having, this symptom, maybe I started having this pain here, or I started being more tired and, but I was busy and I just, I put it off.
Hmm.
And then later when they finally, it gets to where it's so bad that they do end up seeking attention, then they realize that, hey, those things that they were putting off and ignoring, their body was telling them something. And then maybe by the time they've gotten to that point where they have reached out for some sort of, medical assistance, then they realize that it's something that's too late.
Yeah.
And so that definitely is one way that hospice has taught me to really be able to pay attention to ourselves. And also, when people are nearing their end of life,
Hmm.
some of us don't get that awareness. We things happen suddenly and we don't realize that, hey, we've got this limited amount of time
Yeah.
to be here on earth. But for those who do, it's a time to really figure out, okay, what matters most? What do I want to really focus on during this time? And and that is something that can be such a gift to realize that I've only got so much time left, and some of the things that I spent all of my time focusing on really aren't the things that matter most to me anymore. And maybe they weren't the things that mattered most to begin with. It's just, we get so caught up in the busyness of
Mm-hmm.
life
Yes.
that we don't always focus on the things that really are the most important to us. And so that's something that really has had an impact on me. But then it's that kind of two-edged sword in a lot of ways, because working in hospice, working with people who are dying or approaching death, it's very easy to prioritize their needs and think, well, you know what, I'm going to do this thing for my patient. I'm going to make sure that I'm there for them because they've only got this limited amount of time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, I found myself putting my own needs and my family's needs kind of to the wayside, not intentionally, but because I wanted to be there for my patients. I wanted to be there for my families.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was a whole journey of awful boundaries.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and that led to my own burnout for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I know you experienced the loss of your mother.
Mhm.
Um, that was clearly like a pivotal moment in your journey. How did that experience change your perspective on caregiving?
Mm. I, I had gone through my own burnout journey prior to her death.
Okay.
And so I had been in hospice for 12 years,
Mhm.
and I had done, some different roles. I worked at the same local hospice, and there were a lot of things that I loved about it. But again, I didn't have great boundaries. I
Yeah.
wasn't
Yeah.
good about, prioritizing my own self care. And so I got into a situation where it was just, I gave way too much to work and not enough to the things that really mattered most to me in my life.
Yeah.
And so I got very burnout. And really, it had been coming for a while, but I wasn't listening to my own gut. I wasn't listening to the things that God was telling me and showing me. And so I ended up getting kind of a rude awakening from him. And I think it was something where he had to, like, hey, you're not paying attention, so I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
speak a little louder.
Yes.
And it was a painful lesson, but it's what got me it got me out of there. That's where I needed to be gone.
Yeah.
And so I realized after that, I mean, at first I just, like, I felt this freedom. I'm like, "Oh, I've got, now I just get to start life over, and I'm going to
Mhm.
figure out what
Mhm.
I want to do." But then I realized how much of my identity was wrapped up in being a hospice nurse, in
Yeah.
being a nurse for that company. How much of my, I mean, it was like a dysfunctional family. I'd been there a long time. So I left all of my people. And I thought, "Oh, now what? Who am I? What do I do?"
Yeah.
And
That was like that was your identity. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. And that I realized that I didn't really know who I was without that.
Mhm.
And so I went on a journey that, was a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of heartache to kind of
Mhm.
figure out, what is it? Who am I? What do I want to do? What do
Mhm.
I want to be when I grow up? And 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 I'm so thankful for that journey. It's what inspired me to be able to work with other people to help them, figure those things out, hopefully in a quicker, easier, simpler way and without as much pain. But my mom then passed away about a year after I had left that my first hospice job, and it was sudden. She had a brain aneurysm that we knew that she had, but it ruptured, and I went over and found her, and she, passed away about 36, no, it was about 24 hours later. And the thing was, she was also a nurse. We went to nursing school together.
Mhm.
Um, and she was somebody that did everything for everybody else. And she, I mean, she
Yeah.
wasn't incredibly healthy. She had chronic illnesses and
Mhm.
things.
Mhm.
But, she planned on getting this repaired, to hopefully, prevent something like that from happening. But what happened was that she had all of these other things that she wanted to get done first. She wanted to make sure that everything was taken care of for everybody else before
Yeah.
she did
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And That coupled with, what I had gone through myself, and the talking that I had done with other women and caregivers and nurses in particular, but really just a lot of people. Most of us are pretty bad at taking care of ourselves. And that made me realize like how important that is because, not only is my mom not here, and that's, of course, a loss for her, but it's also like I miss my mom, and there's still
Yeah.
times when I think,
Yeah.
oh, I need to tell mom something or other. She's been gone for 7 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just made me really passionate about getting people to understand that not only is self-care not selfish, but it's essential if we want
Mm-hmm.
to continue
Yeah.
to care for those people that that we're caring for now, and if we want to be able to live our best lives.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because I went through a lot in the last couple of years and I never really took care of myself. I suffered with a lot of different illnesses, type 2 diabetes being one of them. And it got to a point where I'm like, I have to be here. I have to be here for my family. So I have to start prioritizing myself because if I'm not here to do, then they won't have me, and I'm gonna be, I won't be able to do the things that I need to do for my family.
Hmm.
And interviewed a young lady a couple of seasons ago, and she talked about about self prioritizing, and one of the things she said is you cannot pour from an empty cup. In Psalms 20:23, it says, "My cup runneth over." So your cup has to be full so that everyone else can get the overflow.
Yes.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's important. It's very important. So we have to, self care is very important. But one of the things I wanted to say, because many people hear, they hear self care, and I was totally, I'm one of those people. I'm not gonna say most people. Sheila is one of those people that when you hear self care, you think about bubble baths, spa days, massages, all of that good stuff.
Mhm.
Can you explain what real sustainable self care looks like according to the Becoming method?
Yes. Yes. So I, first of all, yes, everything you're saying, I'm like, absolutely, and you have to, it's a mindset shift,
Yeah.
like you were talking about with your, realizing that, hey, I've got to take care of me so that I can be here for these
Hmm.
people that I love.
Right.
And that's one of the things that I really encourage people to do. The ones who say, I don't have time for self care, or I've got too many other people that are counting on me.
Hmm.
And I counter that with, okay, so what if you're not here? And it's, I mean, it can be kind of a rude awakening, but I mean, that's where we need to be thinking. And it's not pleasant, but
Hmm.
it's reality. And, we need to be able to listen to ourselves. So in terms of what I believe that real self-care is, and I love a massage, just got one 2 days ago and I was way behind. I know that that's something that really helps me to function
Yeah.
better. I go for the deep kind because I carry a lot of tension, and
Hmm.
so it's usually not super comfortable,
Yeah.
but I know that it helps me be better.
Hmm.
Um, but real self-care that's really going to make a difference, my whole approach is that it needs to be personalized. So the things that, that really fill me up, that help me to be relaxed, but energized, and,
Yeah.
and really feel like my best self, that may be completely different than the things that do that for you, Sheila.
Exactly. Right.
And
Right.
and that doesn't mean that your way's wrong and my way's right. That just means you know what you need and I know what I
Hmm.
need.
Right.
And so it's really thinking about those things that, hey, when I do this, then I feel better, or when I do this, then it really kind of,
Hmm.
it really
Yeah.
drags me down. Or if I'm around these particular people, then, there's the people that energize us. And then
Mhm.
there's the ones that are kind of those energy vampires that
That suck
we've
it
got.
all. Yeah.
Absolutely. And some of
Yeah.
those, some of those are our family members, some of those are our coworkers. And we can't avoid that, but there's things that we can put in place to be able to minimize their drain on us.
Mhm.
And so it's simple practices. I'm really, in addition to things being personalized, I think that, we none of us need another part-time job doing self-care. And so it's figuring out those little things that can make such a big
Yeah.
difference, breathing. And, a lot of people are like, oh, I know. I need to, take some deep breaths and I need to exercise and I need to do
Yeah.
all these things. I already know all of that. Knowing and doing are two very different things.
Mhm.
And, I know that I need to be moving more, but I haven't been here lately until the past 3 days. 3 days now I've been out and walking. So but it's so easy to not do the
Yeah.
things that we know help us. And so it's really being able to figure out what is it that I need most right now? That's a
Mhm.
question that I have it right here on my wall, and that's something that I ask myself frequently when I'm trying to do all the things, and I think, well, I've got this to do and this to do, and I just start feeling kind of overwhelmed and spiraling a bit. And then
Mhm.
I'll think, and I'll stop and I'll take a couple of deep breaths and think, what do I need most right now? And that's something that sometimes it takes, I just did a podcast episode on this a couple of weeks ago. And sometimes it takes me like repeating that over and over to myself because my mind is going nonstop and it's piping up with, well, I need this and I need that and I need that.
Mhm. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when I really break it down to, what do I need right now? And sometimes it's, I need a nap. I need to go outside for a little
Yeah.
bit. I need to call a friend. It's our bodies know we know what we
Yeah.
need. We're beautifully designed.
Mhm.
And if we stop all of the noise and the chaos around us and really like just sit and tune into that some,
Mhm.
then we know what we need. And it's just a
Yeah.
matter then of fitting it in. And it's not as daunting as it seems in
As
the
it
beginning.
seems. Yeah.
Hmm.
What are your thoughts on like grounding? What do you think about that? Because I know that's like a lot of people are doing it lately. What do you
Right.
think about that?
Well, that's funny. So what I think is that I think there are certain things that I know are helpful for me. Like
Mhm.
I love to be out in nature. I love to, to be able to just really focus on the way that right now I'm looking out my window and the way that the sunlight's coming through the
Yeah.
trees and hearing the breeze and feeling that and hearing the birds and all of those things. Those are things that are very grounding for me. I know right now there's grounding sheets and um there's grounding pads where you can like stand on them, or I
Mhm.
don't know, you put your feet on them when you're working, I think. I don't
Yeah.
even know exactly
Yeah.
because I haven't gone too far into that,
Mhm.
because I think, you know what, that's something else that I'm going to end up going down this rabbit it's a rabbit trail, and I don't know, but I do believe that there is, you know our world is just so amazing, and there's
Mhm.
there's like there's energy in everything. And so I do think that there's power in, I love going to the beach and getting my
Yeah.
feet in the sand.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a whole different
Yeah.
feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Definitely.
I don't understand the way that all of it works, but
Mhm.
I believe it does.
Yeah.
And I think that there's, being in the grass and putting your feet in the grass and all of that when you're barefoot, I think it can do a lot. But we live in a kind of wooded area.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I thought, you know what, I'm going to do this. And so just a couple weeks ago, I went outside and I thought, I'm just going to get my feet in the grass. And here's what I realized. A, we don't have a lot of grass because we have so many trees. And so
Mhm.
we have like our grass is very sparse. What
Yes.
we do have, on the other hand, is a lot of acorns.
Oh my
So,
goodness.
and the deer come up I think the fall, and eat them. And
Mhm.
so we have a lot of like acorn shells.
Okay.
It's not super comfortable to be on my, I was
Yeah.
like, if I'm going to do this, I think we need to plant like a little
Uh,
area of grass for me,
right. Right.
because,
Right.
because it just doesn't, I don't think it's supposed to go exactly like that for like it did.
My husband does it every morning. Every morning he goes on, he does it. I haven't done it yet.
Mhm.
It, he says it's the greatest thing ever. It helps him. I have not done it yet.
Mhm.
I'm working my way up to it,
Yeah.
but I have not started it yet. I just have that. I can go out in the sand. It's just something about the grass and so I'm working myself up to it, but I will eventually try it because I hear good things about it that it does. It really helps you. So I definitely want to try it. But what are the most common objections or barriers you hear from nurses or caregivers when you suggest they prioritize themselves?
Mhm. Um, some feel that it's selfish, and that is even more prevalent in the
Yeah.
Christian community because, we want to be of service to others.
Yeah.
And it's, well, I'm supposed to be serving. I'm supposed to be helping others.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
and I am no Bible scholar, you know, but Jesus said that we are supposed to be loving our neighbor as
Us
ourselves.
ourselves, yes.
And we forget that as ourselves part. So if you're loving your neighbor as yourself, then you're neglecting your neighbor.
Yes.
So it's figuring out that it's not as a way to just focus all of your attention on you and ignore everybody else. It's taking care of yourself so that you have the energy to help the other people that you're called to help.
Mhm.
And so that's definitely one of the top ones, which is, why it's the title of the book. But also, I don't have time. I don't have money, and I don't even know where to start. Those are kind of the top
Yeah.
the top 4 that I hear.
I could see the time. Money sometimes is not always just a walk or a book.
Absolutely.
Sometimes I like to out to unwind or whatever. I will put on like my headset and I'll listen to some gospel music or some audiobooks. It's something to
Mhm.
just to separate it. I work from home. I have a home office. So there's a lot of times when okay, after work, I have to separate myself
Mhm.
because I don't physically go out somewhere. I my office is my home.
Right. So
So
you need that transition time because otherwise it's
exactly.
very easy to just continue to work.
Continue to work, so I can understand that. But so you definitely it doesn't always have to cost money. It's little things that you can do every day. Just if you want to
Yes.
download an audiobook or everyone listens to music, put something on YouTube
Mhm.
and listen to it. But it's something just to take your mind and say, okay, woosah, you know?
Right, right, and that's the thing, yeah, it doesn't have to cost money. There are plenty of free things that
Mhm.
make a huge difference, and like you said, I love the library,
Mhm.
and I get so many audiobooks from there, and, I don't, even though I have a book on Audible and I have, my book is on Amazon, still, I mean, I love supporting other authors
Mhm.
too, but
Yeah.
I go to the library for everything that I can.
Yeah.
And then if it's something that I figure out, hey, this is really good and I want to be able to mark it up and take notes, then, or re-reference it, then I'll
Mhm.
do that. But being able to
Exactly.
just listen to things and all of that, there's so much that is at our fingertips with all the technology that we
Yeah,
have. And
exactly.
and so there's so many things that we can do, absolutely.
Mhm.
And it doesn't have to take a lot of time either. I think that's another huge misconception. It doesn't mean that you have to go for a weekend retreat or whatever. Again, those
Exactly.
things are great. If that's something you can fit into your life and your budget and all of that, then wonderful. But it's those little things like, spending an extra minute in the bathroom to
Mhm.
take 4 or 5 deep breaths, to do some squats, to, stretch a little bit. It's those little things that we can incorporate into our day-to-day lives that it seems like we don't have
We
time, but
don't
then you
have
realize
time.
it's just
Yeah.
those little bits that really, we kind of fritter away on social
Mhm.
media or or whatever,
Exactly. You
We
know,
got time for that.
yeah, there's two things that I have on my I have an Apple Watch, and there's two things that I have on my Apple Watch. Um, and this is like, oh, it gets to a point where, oh my goodness, okay, okay, okay. One is, like you said, it'll tell me to breathe. So I'll get like maybe every hour or so, it'll say, time to breathe. Take a deep breath, breathe in, breathe out. Then it's time to stand. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to stand. time to stand. So I'll stand and I'll walk around. So it's just reminding me, you're not sitting here all day just looking at a screen doing. Get up, do something. Breathe in, breathe out, because you're taking in when you know you releasing stress. All of that is coming out. So
Mhm.
it's a beautiful thing, and I really suggest it. I don't know how I got it on my watch. I couldn't even tell you. It just appeared.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask you.
But
I
it
just
must.
got an Apple
I
Watch.
think it's an Apple Watch. It has to be. It's just on there. So I'm like, oh my goodness, this is good. Then I have something that says reflect on your day. Okay, this is my day. So there's so many things that it's so helpful. But let's talk about your book, because in your book, self care isn't selfish. What's one strategy that readers must find most surprisingly effective?
Good one. Good one. So I think that one of the things that I recommend that everybody do. So if you're, if you're somebody that's all about self-care or you're brand new to self-care, well, I got two things. So one of them is to start a wins file. And so that is, those times when somebody says, "Hey, you know what? When you did XYZ, that was great and it really made such a difference," and all of that. So you've got those kind of things. Or you get,
Okay.
a card or a kind of an attaboy from somebody at work or something. Or if it's something that that, hey, this was really hard for me, this was really
Mhm.
uncomfortable, or maybe I didn't want to do it but I pushed through and I did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then those kind of things, keeping those right there in the forefront because, we're all going to have those days or weeks or months where we're just down and
Yeah.
it seems like nothing is going right. And we feel like we're, failing on every front. And having that where you can go back and you're like, you know what? I did this and I did this. And I remember when this happened. And it's a way to just to kind of boost your own ego a little bit
Yeah.
and remember how much good you've got in you. So that's something that I have a digital file and then I also have a paper copy where I put, cards or something that I get and just
Mhm.
different things like that. Or if somebody sends me an email or post something that I really appreciate on social media, then I'll take a screenshot of it. And that's something that is super helpful anytime, but especially if you're, maybe you're going to a job interview or something like that, or you're going to be having a difficult conversation. It's a way to reflect and say, hey, I can do, I've done hard things before and I can do it
I
again.
can get do it again. Okay.
Yes. And another one is that kind of helps to eliminate that, I don't know where to start or I don't have time is to have a happy basket. And so having a central area, and it can be a basket, a bag, whatever, where you just put some things that this is something that I know I enjoy.
Mhm.
So maybe it's you have if you're somebody who likes doing, coloring books or a crossword or something like that, you have those in there. Or
Mhm.
maybe there's a book or two that you're reading. I've got one here. It fits nicely in a basket. But having that and maybe some, some fuzzy socks or a lotion that you particularly like.
Mhm.
And just those little things that, if you have it accessible, then you don't have to go, "Oh, you know what? I was gonna put that lotion on my feet that I know helps, but I don't remember where I put it. And
Mhm.
I'm not gonna go there and get it." Or like me, even if you think I am gonna go there and get it, then I get sidetracked by 12 things on the way
Yep.
and you forget. So having that where everything's just kind of in a central location and hey, this is where I go when I want to prioritize me.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. I like that. You mentioned how you started getting burnout, and
Mhm,
how can caregivers recognize when they're approaching burnout before they
mhm,
reach a breaking point?
mhm. Yeah, so that's a great question. And burnout, that's something that we talk about a lot,
Mhm.
but it's like what does that really look like? And generally what it looks like is constantly trying to work harder.
Yeah.
Thinking, okay, I'm just going to do a little bit more. If I just work harder, if I focus a little more, if I put in a little more time, then it's all going to be
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a place where that can start. And then e even when you're doing those things, you find that maybe you're getting less and less satisfaction from your work. where you're not able to enjoy the things that you enjoyed before.
Yeah.
Um, and then it's kind of going over into the rest of your life too, where you're not being able to enjoy even your time off. You're just taking less pleasure in everything. And then you may find that you're getting a little moodier, or that you've got some bad habits that are popping up. And there's always that sense of, when I get through this part, then it'll be okay. And then it kind of switches to, feeling like it's kind of hopeless and like things just aren't going to get any better. And so, recognizing when those things start popping up for you is so important so that you're able to, intervene before it gets too out of control. And realizing that, hey, it's not just a matter of, buckling down and doing more. It's probably a combination of some things, but one of those is definitely boundaries and having, knowing what you can and can't do, what you're willing to do and what you're willing to sacrifice versus what you're not.
Oh yeah, that's some good advice there.
Well, thanks.
What about someone who feels guilty every time they try to make time for themselves?
Mhm. And that's something that I think gets better with
You
practice
practice,
for most
right?
of us. Yes. And so it's, figuring out what's one little thing that you can do for yourself. Maybe each day.
Hmm.
And I mean, and it can be as small as, spending 1 minute in your car when you're on your way home, or, in your driveway before you go in, or when you get in your car after work, or whatever the case may be, finding a time that works for you and just having that 1 minute or two to just breathe and just decompress a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
And then realizing, hey, I feel a little better. Maybe that wasn't so bad after all. And and being able to do that and kind of build on those things a little bit instead of trying to do a big overhaul. If you're somebody that has always put everybody else's needs ahead of your own,
Hmm.
then it's going to take a little bit of time and effort to figure out exactly what that needs to look like. But changing that mindset to, I need to take care of me because I have these people counting on me
Yeah.
and because I'm worth it,
Yeah.
instead of I can't take care of myself because I have these people counting on me.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So you ready?
I'm
I
ready.
told you I'm just gonna do this. Though we have the lightning round. This is
All
something I
right.
started. I'm gonna ask you 8 questions, and you tell me what comes to mind. Okay, ready?
Okay, let's do it.
All right, Jenny. Morning person or night owl?
Morning person.
Coffee or tea?
Oh, both. Tea and coffee.
Tea then coffee. Okay. One self care practice you never skip, no matter how busy.
Mm. Naps.
You sound like my husband.
I love a good nap.
Best book you've read recently besides your own?
Right now I'm listening to The Dose Effect and I'm really liking it.
Okay. What's your go to 5 minute stress reliever?
Deep breathing and focusing on gratitude while I'm deep breathing. I'm a
Okay.
multitasker.
Complete this sentence. To me, success means.
Ah, living a life that feels aligned with who I feel I'm meant to be.
That. What's one thing most people would be surprised to learn about you?
Hmm. I don't know. I feel like I'm such an open book. Huh. That really, I'm kind of introverted.
Really?
Really? Really?
No. No, seriously.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I know,
Okay.
right?
If you could have dinner with any historical figure, who would it be?
Well, so I'm gonna Jesus. I just I'd like to know more about those parables.
Oh, wow. Wow. Well, thank you. I do have one last question that I ask all my guests.
Okay.
What are you grateful for?
Uh, so much. Um, I'm grateful to be able to do work that I love.
Mhm.
I'm grateful for the family that I have and for the gifts that I've been given and the ability to share those in
Mm,
places like this.
thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Listen, do you have any let's you know what? Actually, let's get your handles. If my listeners want to get your book, they want to reach out to you, can you give them your website, all your information, please?
Yep,
Please.
I
Go
would
ahead.
love to. Thank you. Yeah, so, my website is jennylytle, .com,
Mm-hmm.
so JENNYLYTLE.com, and there you can find links to my podcast, my book, blogs, coaching, speaking, all the things, from there. I am primarily on Facebook and LinkedIn, and it's, Jenny Lidle. Um, a little bit on Instagram, and
Okay.
that's Jenny Lidle RN. But yes, it's and anybody, if there's anything that I can help you with, if you're feeling stuck, schedule a free call with me. That's available on my website as well.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Jenny. Jenny, your personal story and your professional expertise, it kind of reminds us that strong care, that it's important to care for ourselves and it's not selfish to do that. It enables us to show up fully for the people, that matter the most to us, right?
Absolutely.
To my listeners, if you'd like to learn more about Jenny's work, you can find her book, Self Care Isn't Selfish: The Compassionate Nurse's Step by Step Guide to Stress Relief, wherever books are sold on Amazon, right?
Hmm.
And they're on your website also, right? It's
Yes.
on okay, so it's on her website also. And explore the becoming method on her website. And I'll make sure that all of this information is in the show notes so you can reach out to her. And I hope this conversation inspires you to examine your own relationship with self care. Remember, you cannot pour from an empty cup. Until next time, this is Sheila encouraging you to take care of yourself so you can take on the world. Thank you so much for listening to Sheila's Take. Be blessed. Until next time, remember to embrace the journey, build lasting connections, and step boldly into all that life has in store for you. I'm your host, Sheila Dunbar. Blessings to you.